What is going on, you guys? It's your girl Diana, back at you with another YouTube video. These 7-star Typhlosion raids are just around the corner, so of course yesterday while I was live streaming, me and my viewers put together a couple of Pokemon that we think might be good counters to go up against these raids. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So as always, let's go ahead and take a look at what exactly we're going to be going up against when we go into these raids. So we are facing Johtonian Typhlosion, which means that normally it is a pure fire type. However, during the raids, it will be a ghost tera type. So it's basically going to be the same as Hisuian Typhlosion. It'll have access to ghost and fire type moves. Of course, this is a level 7 raid, so it will be level 100. And ability-wise, something tells me that it's probably going to have flash fire, which means that if you hit it with fire type moves, it's just going to power up its own fire type moves. And when it comes to EVs, it has an HP stat of 78, an attack stat of 84, a defense stat of 78, a special attack stat of 109, a special defense stat of 85, and a speed stat of 100. So it is a little bit faster of a Pokemon, and it is of course going to be a special attacker. And defense and special defense are pretty close to each other, so you could realistically go either way when you choose your attackers. But here's where the tricky part comes in, its moveset. So the main moves that I think it'll have are number 1, Eruption, just because Eruption is able to hit multiple targets at the same time. I do also see them putting Shadow Ball on there because I'm sure a lot of people will see that it's a Ghost Tera and want to bring Ghost types themselves since they know that Ghost is super effective against Ghost. So I don't really see them not having a counter for Ghost types. So knowing that it learns Shadow Ball, some people might think to bring Dark types. However, Typhlosion also gets access to Fighting type moves, which are super effective against Dark types. And I can definitely see them putting something like Focus Blast on it. I can also see them throwing another hard-hitting fire type move like Overheat on there. And if they want to be super annoying, I can definitely also see them throwing Play Rough on there. Something like Will-O-Wisp so they can get some burns off. And maybe even something like Leer if they did want to go that route and lower your defenses by 1, although I do think that it'll be using mostly special attacks and not so many physical attacks. However, it does have access to moves like Bulldoze and Earthquake, so they could also go that route if they wanted to as well. So clearly when it comes to Typhlosion's moveset, there is a lot to think about. But I think the main things that we need to focus on are it using ghost type moves, fighting type moves, and fire type moves. The rest of the other types moves are just something that you should just keep in the back of your mind just to prepare for it if they do end up putting something like that on it. But I think they're mostly going to stick to the fire, fighting, and ghost type moves, since most of those alone take care of the counters that most people would want to bring. But now that we know what we're going up against, let's go ahead and see what me and my stream put together for what you might want to bring to this raid. So we did put together 2 options for attack Pokemon and 2 options for support Pokemon. That way you can choose whichever side you're more comfortable with. We did also choose to go the special attacking route, so both of these attack Pokemon are going to be special attackers. But starting off with our first special attacker, we have Spiritomb, which is a Ghost Dark type. And I know I said that Ghost and Dark are both susceptible to moves that Typhlosion can learn, but we don't really have a lot of options when it comes to this raid, so this is what we've decided is one of the better options to bring. But for starters, in order to do the most damage as possible, you're gonna want to go ahead and throw a Life Orb on your Spiritomb. EV-wise, you are of course going to want to max out your HP and special attack because you're going to want to hit hard and you need to survive while the support Pokemon on your team help set up for you. The good thing about Spiritomb is that it is very naturally bulky. Moveset wise, we went ahead and threw Hex on it, Nasty Plot, Rain Dance, and Taunt. Taunt is there in case it does have any status moves, of course. Rain Dance is there to dampen the amount of damage that any fire type moves Typhlosion has will do. Nasty Plot is of course for you to set up to hit harder, and Hex is going to be your special attacking move of choice. Since realistically, if you do want to go this route, you are going to want to apply a status condition to Typhlosion, because Hex does more damage when your opponent is afflicted by a status condition. So if you are going the Spiritomb route, setup is imperative. You're probably going to want to put up some screens to help keep this thing alive. You're going to want to go ahead and probably use Fake Tears to lower its special defense, and like I said, you're gonna want to give it some kind of status condition. That way Hex hits harder. Surprisingly enough, for our second special attacker, we went with the Pokemon that is usually seen as a support Pokemon in raids, which is Grimmsnarl, which is a dark fairy type. And item-wise, you are probably gonna want to give it something like a Life Orb as well, just because we are trying to hit this thing as hard as possible and hopefully one-shot it. But EV-wise, we went ahead and once again maxed out special attack and HP since we want this thing to hit hard and live long enough to be able to hit the Typhlosion Typhlosion. And moveset wise, we went with Nasty Plot, Dark Pulse, Spirit Break, and Fake Tears. Fake Tears, of course, is going to go ahead and lower that special defense. Nasty Plot in order for you to boost your stats. And then you're going to want to go ahead and go in with your Dark Pulses. So two pretty straightforward Pokemon when it comes to attackers. I've also seen people mention things like Hisuian Zoroark. However, I do think that Hisuian Zoroark is way too frail for something like this, and I don't think it'll actually live long enough to be able to take out Typhlosion. People have also mentioned Annihilate, and Annihilate can only take a couple of Shadow Balls as well, so I think that's definitely a riskier pick as well. At least when it comes to these two Pokemon, you know that they're a little bulkier and tankier since they are typically support Pokemon. At least that's what I used my Spiritomb for when it was on my doubles team. It was a bulky Trick Room setter. But in case you're more comfortable being a support Pokemon, we have options for that as well. Starting off with Stunk Tank. Item-wise, you're probably going to want to give it some type of healing item, either a berry or something like a Shell Bell, just so that you can live long enough to be able to set up for your attacking Pokemon. And of course, you know, support them. But Stunk Tank is a poison and dark type Pokemon. And EV-wise, we went ahead and maxed out special defense as well as HP, since like I said, Typhlosion is most likely going to be a special attacker since that is its more proficient stat over its actual attack stat. And moveset-wise, we went ahead and threw Acid Spray on there, Helping Hand, Snarl, and Toxic. So this is definitely going to be the Pokemon that you want to bring as a support Pokemon if you are bringing something like Spiritomb with Hex, since Toxic is of course going to poison the Typhlosion so that Hex is able to hit harder. Acid Spray is on there to of course lower the special defense stat, Helping Hand to help the attacker hit harder, and Snarl is going to actually lower the special attack stat of Typhlosion. So this thing is just one big nerf. And for our second support Pokemon, we went with the pure fairy type, Doxbun. Item-wise, I just went ahead and threw a Citrus Berry on there as well, since like I said, for support Pokemon, you are going to want to go with some kind of HP regaining item. The EV spread is the same as Stunk Tank. We went ahead and maxed out special defense as well as HP. And moveset-wise, we went with Snarl, Helping Hand, Mud Slap, and Rain Dance. Snarl is there once again to lower Typhlosion's special attack stat, Helping Hand to help out the attacker, Mud Slap is there in case you need it, and Rain Dance to once again go ahead and dampen the amount of damage that you are taking from Typhlosion's fire type moves. Another great thing about Doxbun is that it does have the well-baked body ability, so if it does get hit by any fire type moves that Typhlosion uses, it will actually get a defense boost. But there you have it, those are going to be the Pokemon that me and my stream came up with in order to take down Typhlosion. As always, leave a comment down below with what you're thinking about bringing and if you can improve on any of the movesets that we managed to come up with. Of course, none of us actually know what's going to work until we actually get into the raids, but at least this way we can try to prepare as best as we can. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, I kindly suggest that you consider subscribing so that I can continue to make content for you guys. And if you are already subscribed and you would like another way to support the channel, feel free to check out the merch store. There is a link down below in the description that takes you to not only my merch store, but also all of my other socials so you can keep up with what I'm doing on a daily basis. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to those of you who have joined the channel as members. I appreciate you all so much. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.